Welcome to the Book Club. I'm Dylan, here with the one and only guy I'd want to hunt Horcruxes with. Keith, what's up, buddy?
Dylan, I'm feeling deathly and hollow after finishing this series.
Yeah, it's been like 4 months that I've just been thinking about Harry Potter. It was even last night I was putting my daughter to bed. She's 2 months old. So I'm putting her to bed and she was fast asleep, but I have to give her this bottle. Otherwise she'll be up all night. And so she's fast asleep. So I'm trying to feed her. I'm trying to get as much possibly inside of her so that she won't wake up sooner. And the whole time felt like I was Harry and she was Dumbledore in the cave, because I'd be like, come on, one more sip. I was like, one more sip, and just squeezing her mouth open to like force some milk down. Mm-hmm. And she would do it. I'd be like, that's so good. You're doing so good. And then she'd be like, I don't want any more. And I'd be like, one more sip. Yeah. I was just waiting for the Inferi to come out and start attacking me. But yeah, I had a Harry Potter. And basically that's been my life the last few months. I've just been associating everything with Harry Potter. It's a hollow feeling for sure, especially once you start reading other books that you realize are not the same as this masterpiece.
Yep.
But here we are. Here at the Buddy Book Club, we're breaking down some box office bangers, and this week we're discussing 2010 and 2011's Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows films. That's part 1 and part 2. If you'd like to recommend a book or movie for us to read or watch, you can reach out to us about any past episodes. Visit our website at buddybookclub.com. Send us an owl on Twitter or Instagram, Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can list us iTunes, Spotify, wherever your podcasts. Please download, give us a review. 5 stars would be nice. Follow us on social channels, please, and thanks. Keith, let's jump into Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2 with some stock up, stock down, stock up. What do you got?
Stock up, fearing death.
Oh.
Yeah. As a species, we're born, to survive and fear death. I mean, all animals are. And that's really why that scene where Harry knows he has to die is so powerful, is because you're basically walking into something that from the very first day you're born, you're programmed to not want to do.
Yeah.
It's just this really, really heart-wrenching scene where it's like, oh, now I have to sacrifice myself for the good of everyone else. But after that happens, in the movie, not in the book, not canon, Harry gets into a one-on-one battle with Voldemort. Mm-hmm. And frankly, this scene I thought was pretty stupid. I thought the book was cinematic. It was perfect. This one-on-one matchup, everyone's watching, the big showdown. In the movie, they're like, why don't we just make this like a cartoon? And they're like jumping around. It's almost kind of like the Battle of Mustafar, where Obi-Wan and Anakin are just like jumping around to every single like prop in the whole place.
Floating droids.
Yeah. So they're fighting, and then at one point Harry just grabs on to Voldemort and is like, "You're coming with me, and I'm gonna fall to my death and kill him." Mm-hmm. So he's just no longer afraid of dying. But it like kind of ruins the whole scene before that, where it's this whole big thing of like, I don't want to die. I don't want to have to do this. I don't, this whole like thing you have to go through. 4 minutes later, he's like, "Fuck it." Grabs onto him, I'll jump and just kill myself. It was like, what?
Are you kidding me? That was the best part, because it was an homage to Point Break with Johnny Utah and Bodhi jumping out of the airplane, and he's like, pull the chute. And he's like, no, I'm not going to pull the chute. It was Point Break. That's what they just recreated in the Harry Potter universe.
But also, Voldemort can fly. You can't. So I don't really understand. There's no risk for Voldemort. He's like, okay.
Yeah, like, all right, whatever.
He's like, okay. I didn't get it at all.
Yeah. I didn't care for that final showdown either. It was also in the book, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a couple weeks, but he like slips out of Hagrid's shoulders as Neville's doing the whole snake thing and puts the invisibility cloak on and kind of slips away. And they're like, where's Harry? Whereas in this one, he just like falls out of Hagrid's arms. He's like, I'm alive. Here I am. Come catch me. And like runs away. It's like, huh?
Yeah, the whole sequence was pretty dumb. Neville's whole thing too is like he pulls the sword out, and it means something at that moment because he then kills the snake with it. Mm-hmm. But we don't get that for like 5 more minutes, so it's just like, huh?
They made the snake thing elongated when that should have been just Neville's moment right there in front of everyone.
Right. And then no one's watching at the end. So it just seems like, I'm like, where did everyone go? It seems like everyone's gone. I guess it's like kind of a fizzle. It's just like, I guess they're fighting, but doesn't really matter.
The nice part about the book, like you said, was it was this final showdown in the Great Hall. Mano a mano. Voldemort versus Harry. Everyone's there cheering him on. And the best part about that scene, like we talked about in the book pod, is Harry just being like, "Hey Tom, your wand's not going to work. I know all this stuff. Aren't you worried about it? Aren't you worried about it? You're not the owner. Haven't you been noticing weird stuff?"
Yeah.
And just like talking trash right before the spell rebounds and Dumbledore kills himself. Or excuse me, Voldemort. I always do that.
If they're going to change stuff, I think they also, especially since they put like no emphasis on the whole
Expelliarmus?
Yeah, that was like a huge emphasis where they don't put any emphasis in the movie. It should have been like Protego shield protecting his friends like his parents did for him, and it bounced back or something. Like something that where there's symbolism, you know, for that. But instead it's just by himself, and then I talk about this later, but like then he kills him. I don't even know how.
It's the spell rebounds. So that's the same.
But it turns into like Gladiator for a minute. You know what I'm talking about? His like body falls apart, and then like we fall like a leaf in the sky, and you have like this music playing, and I was like, huh?
He went to Elysium?
Yeah, that's what happens. I'm like, wait, what's going on? You know the scenes all the time in Gladiator where it's all that artsy like
the wheats? When
he's like hands like feeling exactly.
The wheatgrass.
Yeah. That's what happens for the movie. I was like, what the hell's happening here?
Yeah, I don't know why they did the Marvel movie when Thanos snaps his fingers and he just like disintegrates. I'm not sure why that would be different than anything else, but I was okay with that part. It was more just the fight. I thought it didn't need to be fixed. It was really well done in the book, and you had the opportunity to do it. All the set was there. You know, you really, it didn't add anything to it besides this flying around Voldemort Harry thing.
Especially since our criticisms in the past have been they had so much action in the scene and they took it away. Instead, they just did like the dueling lightning bolts, you know? And then this one, they're like, all right, we'll add a ton of action. It's like, no, this is where you don't need that. Like, you should have done that for the other times. And now you put it in, it's cartoonish now.
Yeah. And I have more on the action in general later. But yeah, I agree. The Nagini thing was a little odd too, with like Ron and Hermione doing that thing. I don't know. So I was glad they put Ron and Hermione getting the Basilisk Fang in, because we didn't see that in the book. It was just they came back.
Yeah, a little makeout, which I thought was better, and then it was in the book. So I'll give them props for that.
There was innuendo all throughout that scene. If you remember it correctly. Water gushing. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
My first stock up. Oh God, I should. Now I'm following it up with this. Whatever. My first stock up is a casting couch. Stock up. So, yeah, hear me out here. The casting couch is really just, if we boil the meaning behind it, it's really just an opportunity to see if there's chemistry between two amateur talents, right? That's really the goal. Let's see if there's chemistry between these two amateur talents. And maybe, you know, there is, and they'll go on to bigger and thicker things, or you know,
where are you seeing these guys? What is it? What's the website?
And I'm not suggesting they should have made 11-year-old Daniel Radcliffe make out with 9-year-old Bonnie Wright at the beginning of this whole series, but it is $1 billion franchise, so maybe you know,
to see if their chemistry
to see if there's some chemistry.
I was like, wait, what
I was talking about?
I was like, what does this have to do with anything?
Yeah, there's just no chemistry with Ginny. I mean, we actually get. It was funny because in our podcast,
I'm bring this up again.
I know I'm gonna forget. In the podcast about the shoe tying thing, I was like, oh, you don't even tie someone's shoes unless it's like at a formal event or something like that. I don't even know what I was thinking, but it makes sense to me. But what do you know? There is a formal event, Bill and Fleur's wedding, and Ginny needs someone to help zip up her dress. A very classic trope. Harry comes zip it up. And then they have a kiss, but me and the wife are sitting on the couch watching this, and we both had the same thought, which is they didn't even show them kiss, and the angle at which they filmed it, it's very clear that they didn't kiss. Like the two actors didn't kiss. They filmed it like a Passion Cove, like a Skinamax type sex scene. Yeah, they're supposedly having sex, but you can tell by the angle, it's like, no, that's just not how bodies work. And that was the same with this kiss. Like if you go back and look at it, it was like, oh, they filmed it in a way that you can't see them kiss. Like for this reason, their heads are tilted weird way. They're obviously not kissing because they have no chemistry. That was my thought, which is true for sure. But then we finally do get a kiss between them towards the end at the Battle of Hogwarts. And the kiss we see is the most dispassionate kiss I've ever seen in my whole life. I kiss my sister more passionately than these two people kissed each other. It was like, what is happening here? So now I understand why they didn't have them kiss in the first one, because they must have done it. They had a take where they kissed and they were like, oh my God, this is going to ruin the entire movie because people won't stop thinking about this. So let's fit a kiss in, but let's do it in the last 10 minutes of the second movie so that people are already past it. But yeah, it's just continues to blow me away throughout this series how the chemistry is like two opposites.
Can I tell you what got me hot and bothered?
Me kissing my sister?
No. Jesus. No, the animated version of Harry and Hermione kissing. I was like, oh.
The animated version?
You know how like he's seeing it in the locket? Like
yeah.
Yeah, they showed Ron. That, and I'm like, I'm kind of into this. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I guess since we're here, let's talk about, because there is a big divide, I feel like, about the Harry and Hermione dance scene, the dirty dancing that happens in the tent. How did you feel about that? Because there was chemistry there for sure.
I don't know, that was that felt a little bit off-putting. I felt like that was kind of cheating, honestly.
Cheating how?
If you're doing like an intimate dance like that, it's one thing to do like a fun dance.
Oh, you meant like it was cheating on Ron, like she was cheating on Ron.
Like if Ron walked in on that'd be the same as walking in and someone making out. If it's in like a big group setting, all right, whatever, it's kind of weird still, but it's one-on-one in a room by yourself in a bedroom.
Yeah.
And you're two people listening to music, and they're not swing dancing and doing like fun dancing and doing like the chicken dance. They're doing slow dancing, hands on close to buttocks.
This ain't Pulp Fiction kind of dancing, you know? They're not at the Bebop, Rocksteady, whatever that dance hall is, or restaurant. Yeah, no, I agree. It was something more. I mean, it was to the point where they show that one bit at the end when they stop dancing and look at each other, and at least my mind went, are they gonna kiss right now? You know, is this gonna be total not
think
canon?
About this is to bring up your sister thing, is if you were dancing with your sister at a wedding like that, 100% fine, everyone would be like, oh, that's really nice. If you do that in a room together by yourself, now you're like
Tuesday night.
Right, so like that's the difference, where you could tell it's like, oh, that's a little weird, right?
100%. No, yeah, I thought the same thing, and it was an interesting ad, and I looked it up because I was interested to see what the internet thought about it, and there are Reddit threads about this, with most people being on the side of it's totally fine. It's two people missing, which is a weird take, but it's one person that got a lot of upvotes or whatever. Said it's pretty much two people missing their loved ones, you know, Ginny and Ron, and they're platonic friends and kind of having some emotion with each other, which I didn't really follow. And then a lot of stuff was around, it's ridiculous that people can't think that like a man and a woman can be friends platonically and just enjoy each other's company. And it's like, that's not that it. Yeah, it's like,
we've all been 16 and 16 and you're just like, and you're by yourself for that long. I mean, I don't know how else to take that. You know what I mean? If it were two 60 or like 80-year-olds dancing like that, 100%, completely fine.
Well, hold on a second. STD's highest rates are on college campuses and retirement homes. So
we're going really deep on this.
Yeah, retirement homes. People are getting it on.
Right,
do not throw shade on the AARP community. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that dance because it was something that wasn't in the book and they threw in there,
but they did have good chemistry. I'll give it to you. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. What else do you have for stock up?
Stock up goblins hating wizards.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in the book we kind of had talked about how the goblins' mindset and kind of who they are as people is a little bit questionable, morals and ethic-wise. In the movie, though, we see we get to Gringotts, and the wizards are the policing body there. So it's not the actual goblins themselves controlling. They don't have like sovereignty. Like when a police force is from a different country and you're not protecting yourselves, that's going to be immediately draw hate towards the other group. Then Harry gets there, casts the Imperious Curse on that bank teller. He's just a bank teller. He's not a nefarious person. He's not mean in any way. All his job is to do his job is to protect the money in there and protect the assets of wizards' assets. Puts on the Imperious Curse, walks him out in front of the dragon as a laugh, and the dragon just blows fire on him and kills him. Well, as we hear of it, they bounce out of there. sucks with the goblins, see you later. But that's even the enemies start right there. They don't care of you. They don't value your life, and they are the ones that control the policing of your civilization. So I understand it now. Stock up.
Yeah, that goblin, he was just punching a timesheet or whatever.
Yeah,
like
9 to
he's
5.
just punching 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It actually, two things about this scene reminded me of Austin Powers. One being that the guards, like the wizard guards, came in uniforms that were very similar to the uniforms of like the henchmen from Austin Powers, just the random henchmen guys that are running around the silo in Austin Powers. I thought it was kind of weird in general that these wizards would have hats and button-down shirts. Like, a security guard is basically what they were dressed up as. And that seemed kind of odd to me. And the other part was that the one goblin, like we were talking about, who's, just doing his job. He's working a 9 to 5. He's hoping he can put enough aside to retire at 67 or whatever the case. I don't know what it is for goblins. And then he just gets got. And this is why I miss DVDs. I love streaming stuff, obviously, because it's great. And you can just spend hours streaming. But when you used to buy a DVD, it would have bonus features on it. And one of the bonus features for the Austin Powers DVD was a skit that they did. And do you remember in Austin Powers when he uses the steamroller and runs over the guy who's like, stop. Yeah, and he's like, get out of the way. So he runs over that guy. And the skit is the guy's family, like the next day or something like that. And his son's like, Mom, when's the daddy coming home? And the mom's just like, Daddy's not going to come home tomorrow, son. But they go through this whole, it's funny. It's not sad, which is what it kind of seems like it should be. But, you think, because no one ever thinks about in James Bond movies or whatnot, the lives of these henchmen. It's almost like a Rick and Morty type thing. So I was thinking about what that goblin is leaving behind. I did like how in the movie we see Grip Hook get got, we see him lying dead on the ground, and the sword of Gryffindor disappears as it should to be passed back to the next Gryffindor that's brave enough to take it or whatever the case be. But yeah, I think that's a good one. My next stock up was Hogwarts drinking water, and this is a quick one, but I assume outside of the pumpkin juice and the fire whiskey, what else they drink in there? Butter beer. Outside of that,
you a water snob? I feel like you are, aren't you?
Well, I was drinking tap water down here until I got we were buying bottled water for some inane reason, and I was fine with it. Whatever. I don't really care. But then I was like, why do I have to drink the tap water? I get all these reports that the tap water's fine. I'm drinking the tap water. And I'd been doing that for like 6 months, and then I get a report like, your tap water may have lead in it. I was like, God damn it. So, no,
that's
I'm not.
Good, right? You want to get some iron in your blood, right? That's fine.
It's not iron.
Yeah, same difference.
No, I'm not a water. What would a water snob be like? Oh, I only drink Perrier kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, you only that I can't drink. The big one is Dasani. Dasani is like disgusting. It's the most like vile thing ever. I'll never drink that.
Well, I think any sort of triple osmosis water that you're buying is just some of the stupidest thing we can do that's how I know that as a human race we're pretty stupid, is just the fact that most of this water is tap water that they've put through a triple charcoal filter or whatever the case is, bottled it and sold it to you. Mm-hmm. It's snake oil, they're selling
you're buying
tap
convenience
water.
You're not buying the water. I think, at least, the only reason I drink bottled water is just like, oh, nice.
Sure, if I'm at a gas station and there's a bunch of waters there, I'm not grabbing a Dasani. I'm spending an extra $1 on Fiji or something that's a spring water.
I agree. I'm just not one of those people that won't drink water. I drink anything that's cold. I don't really care.
No, yeah, of course. Are you kidding me? I
Okay.
drink out of a
hose.
I drink out of a hose
so you're not a
since I
snob
was
then,
12.
is what I'm saying. Yeah, okay. We're on the same page.
You get that extra latex feeling in the summer, that hot rubber taste. It's wonderful.
Jesus.
So the Hogwarts drinking water, back to my point, which was a quick one.
Yeah.
The water, tap waters and whatnot, they put fluoride and stuff in it to keep your teeth. A bunch of counties do that, whatever. The Hogwarts drinking water, they got to be throwing extra testosterone in there because Harry looks 25 or 30 in this movie. They're trying so hard to make him look like a 17-year-old, but his 5 o'clock shadow is showing up at noontime. It's hard to believe that this odd-looking man is 17 or whatever the case is, because he could grow. It's like, I'm looking at him as like, he could grow a fuller beard than I can grow now at 37 years old. So I didn't love the Harry look in this one. I think in general it wasn't his best look out of all the movies.
Well, when they show his older Harry, he's like 35, and it looks like he's 65. They're like, he's pretty much dead. He's going to die pretty soon. And then they take Hermione, and they're like, we'll put one wrinkle on your forehead. You look exactly the same. You'll still look 18.
Yeah, and then whatever they did to Ginny, they're like, we're putting 2 pounds of hairspray in her hair and making her wear this insane outfit.
With Ron. They're like, we'll keep everything the same, add 20 pounds.
Add 20 pounds, yeah. Yeah. Put a beer belly on him. They put a very tasteful beer belly on Ron. I appreciated it. I wasn't a big fan of the look of the epilogue, but they had to do that with Harry because they could have just said, hey, Daniel, just grow your stubble out for a couple of days and you'll be fine. But because it was so close to what he looked like during the rest of the movie, they couldn't do that. And it almost felt like the makeup they were giving him was like trying to hide his stubble, but it just made him look more like plasticine or something. Yeah. So yeah, didn't love it. Hogwarts drinking water, stock up if you're trying to get jacked out of your mind. Did you have any other stock ups?
Last one. This one might be a little bit more controversial side. That's okay though. Tim Tebow's Super Bowl ad, stock up.
Oh, were there Tim Tebow Super Bowl ads?
You might not remember this, but 2010, Tim Tebow did a pro-life Super Bowl ad back in the day.
No.
It was super controversial. Do you not remember this?
Oh, my God. No. What?
Look it up. It was like very, very...
I might have to.
But in the commercial, this might ring a bell. His like mom's talking about like, I don't know, pro-life. I don't give a shit. He tackles her in the thing. So it might have been like a pro-violence against women commercial, to be honest with you. I don't know. Anyways, it's a huge controversy. But it doesn't look as bad as the pro-life version of this movie. What happened there? What was going on? I forgot to ask you about this in the book, but I didn't know. I've seen this meme of the little like fetus thing.
Yeah.
In the movie, I've
seen
that meme.
Moldy Voldy, as I like to call it.
I didn't know that was from this movie. I thought that was just a completely different thing. I had no idea what that was. What is that? What is the symbolism? Can you explain what's going on there? I was like shocked when that came on screen. I was like, wait, what's going on? So I thought it was a Tim Tebow commercial.
Well, they did talk about in the book, Harry saw it. He said, oh my God, what is that? The way it was explained in the book or described was actually very similar to what it looked like in the movie. I thought that was pretty good because he's just like a rat looking Voldemort, basically, this like little rat-looking, cowering Voldemort, which is accurate. They gave it a lot more fetus / like alien vibes going on. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about Moldy Voldy at some point because I think it's a really good job by the graphic people or whatever, the special effects people or whatever the case is, even though it's obviously a puppet. But it's definitely fetusy, that's for sure.
What's the symbolism? I
think it's his soul, right? So it's like the piece of Voldemort's soul that's within Harry.
Okay. Why would he be there in his dream or his thing, and why? I don't know. I don't understand it.
I honestly have a lot of questions just around the whole thing in general. It's one of those things when you're reading the book, you're just like, yes, okay. And then when you close the book, you're trying to logically go through it. It's almost like watching a Christopher Nolan movie or something, you know? Okay. And then you try to piece it back and you're just like, I don't know if that actually makes any sense. So yeah, I think my understanding is that Moldy Voldy is the piece of Voldemort's soul that's in Harry that is now dying / dead because of the curse that because of the curse that Voldemort did. No,
anyways,
I can't believe someone would spend like $10 million on a pro-life thing. who's watching that and saying, you know what? After these chips and nachos and 12 beers, I'm going to become abstinent.
It was a big deal. To spend $10 million on anything, honestly, really is doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But what are you going to do?
Maybe the Batmobile. Stock up for me. Reaping what you sow. It's a phrase. I think it involves something around the farming industry, but I think we all understand the point, right? Mm-hmm. So for 6 movies, the directors, screenwriters, producers, whoever, they've decided to trim down the presence of or really totally omitting some ancillary characters in favor of the big 3. We had issues with that from time to time, but at the same instance, you have to understand it. The problem is that now that we're at the end of the story, these supporting characters take on an important role in tying up the series with a bow, but as moviegoers, we haven't seen enough of them in the movies themselves to care. Mm-hmm. I think it's something that we can often brush over because a lot of the people that watch the Harry Potter movies that we know, or we're just associating with ourselves, but we've read the books, so we know what's going on and everything like that. But there's got to be a huge slew. I mean, I know a bunch of people who have never read the books and only seen the movies. And what comes to mind first is Snape and Dobby, really. Snape has this huge story arc that happens within this movie, but it's based on so much that has happened between him and Harry in previous books. And I don't want to get into the whole, is Snape a bad guy thing again, because we know your feeling on that. But just the idea that Snape kind of comes in here at the end and he has this part, but we don't really know a lot about him from the movies themselves. He had a little bit in Half-Blood Prince, but even then, not enough. And before that, there were some movies where he was really just missing. They just took his lines and gave them to someone else, or he wasn't there. So having Snape, be this kind of savior and this light, and someone that Harry names his child after, as just a moviegoer, it's kind of like, wait, what? I guess so, but it doesn't have the same payoff. And then Dobby, I'm talking about cutting onions, listen to Dobby die in the audiobook. Dobby's not even in the movies. They took all of his parts and gave them to other people. Throughout the series, he has been helping Harry in different ways and always been around for Harry and showing his love for Harry. And I know that he has a quick moment here, and he had a moment in book 2. But outside of that, it's like we don't really even know Dobby. It feels like the Fred and Lupin deaths, which we don't even see on camera, those ones hit hardest because we actually know those characters from the movies. We had an entire movie with Lupin and more on top of that. And Fred, we've, interacted with either him or George. We don't know which one, but we've interacted with them throughout this whole series. So, I think that's why the filmmakers decided to add this Snape stuff that wasn't in the book, with him giving, shushing Harry in the astronomy tower. And then also in this one, when Griphook tells Harry that Snape knowingly put a fake sword in Bellatrix's vault, just to bring his name up and show kind of these breadcrumbs that we know that Snape's a good guy. But yeah, I just thought a lot of the characters that kind of should have had more screen time throughout earlier ones didn't get it, and because of that, it didn't really pay off. And I feel like it's harder for us book fans to realize it because we've read them both, and they kind of all meld into this one Harry Potter universe. But yeah, I just didn't love it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we talked about it for other movies. I feel like side characters would be featured for one movie and then never be seen again, and you kind of they kind of fade in the distance. Realistically, what they should have done was just remove some characters or made the characters combined. Bringing back Bill, we've never seen Bill.
I was about to say that.
That could have just been Fred and George. It would have been better.
At the beginning of whatever, maybe it's the first part 1 or part 2, I forget. Bill walks in the door and goes, "Hi, I'm Bill." And I go, I'm like, wait, what? Bill? Harry knows Bill. Harry's known Bill for years. Wait, he knew him from the Triwizard Tournament. Oh, he wasn't in that. And not on top of that, he goes, "Hi, I'm Bill. Also, I'm a werewolf." It's like, wait, what? Because in the astronomy tower, he got werewolfed by Greyback, but they left that out of the movie. So he just walks in. He's like, "I'm Bill. I got bit by a werewolf. I'm going to marry Fleur," who, you know, and you should know how I know, but like it made no sense.
The best is Lupin and Tonks walk in on the very beginning when they all meet back up at the Weasley's house.
Yeah.
And they're like, should we tell them? And he says, no, we'll wait. And then we never hear from them again and they die. So you don't know they're married. You don't know they're having a kid. You don't know any of that stuff.
Oh, like, I thought he said we're having a baby.
Oh, maybe they do.
That?
But I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it just seems like they just like were like, I thought that would been funny just to never hear them again.
Yeah, I think they might have said we're having a baby. So then it's like, okay, so someone murdered Tonks and a child? Like, oh no, Teddy's alive. He's just not there, you know?
Yeah.
I wonder if Teddy was in the train with them in the epilogue.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
Isn't he like at school or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way. Yeah, so some of that stuff. The Bill one kind of laughed because there's so many different pieces to that where he's a werewolf, he's Bill, they've met several times, he works at Gringotts.
His face is barely scratched. I was like, I wouldn't even notice that unless he called it out.
Yeah, and then Lupin has a scratch on his face too, which I was like, wait, I thought you lose the scratch as you heal, or yeah, I don't know. All right, I had one last quick one. The Death Eater recruiting office, like the military recruiting offices, I feel like those used to be a thing. I'm not sure if they are anymore. I'm sure they are. But the Death Eater recruiting office, we kind of talked about in previous episodes how I wasn't sure how many Death Eaters there were, and it seemed like there couldn't have been that many, I thought there was maybe a couple dozen. You thought there was potentially more. But I can assure you there was not 10,000 Death Eaters. And that's how many there are in the scene at the Battle of Hogwarts when they're running down the mountain towards the castle. It honestly, to me, it looked like, the Uruk-hai at the Battle of Helm's Deep with the amount of Death Eaters that were coming at them.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Good comparison.
I have no idea how all of these Death Eaters came out of the woodwork and are storming Hogwarts. It definitely there wasn't this many in the book. Yes, I understand there was Dementors and giants and giant spiders, all that stuff, which we saw and I appreciate. But the human element, I know they're trying to make it epic or something, but come on, there's just not that many Death Eaters.
No, yeah, I agree. I think I said it was 20-1 Death Eaters to Order of the Phoenix, but I think there was only like 20 Order of the Phoenix members, so that'd be 400 total, right?
Yeah.
So my math's correct. I don't know. Maybe they're just like they opened up the social media and they're just recruiting across other countries and stuff. They're just. I mean, we need to know what they're doing because we're not growing at this rate that they grew. They grew pretty quickly.
We got to figure out what they did because whoever the recruiting officer,
they're just on TikTok early.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I think we're just missing out.
Maybe there's some sort of dark magic GI Bill you can get into GI Dark Magic College or something.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah. That makes sense.
All right, let's move on to Stock Down. What do you have for Stock Down?
Stock Down camping.
I've
never understood camping. I'm not a big camper. I mean, the thing is, everything about the best things about camping are just things that you don't need to suffer to do. For me, like, hey, like what's great about camping is you can go outside and create a fire and sit and make s'mores. Hey, you can just build a fire pit in your backyard and do that. They're like, you can be by water. It's like, I live by the water. It's like all this stuff.
Nature. You can be in nature.
You go on a hike.
Yeah, but you can have a sleepover with nature.
I guess. That's neither here nor there. But
so you didn't do much camping as a kid, is what
I did a couple times.
Like with your family, brothers, sister.
Yeah. So you're in tents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just
tents and sleeping bags.
I was a guy that liked sports and I liked playing computer games. So it's just like none of those things really. Camping didn't add into any of those things.
No,
so it didn't really make a lot of sense.
Land party's tough out there.
Exactly. So I just didn't understand. I'm a very literal person. I just didn't understand. I'm like, but we can just do all these things easier now. It's like when people use chopsticks and it just frustrates me because I'm like, but they created a tool that's better. Like, why would we just not use they're like, well, this is how you're supposed to eat it. I'm like, but why? They're like, yeah, well, that's what they do. Like cavemen used to eat with their hands. Is that how I should eat everything now?
Well, a lot of cultures do eat with their hands. So yeah, if you were going to be there, you should be like, they'd probably say the same thing to you. You'd say, where's the fork? And they say, God gave us
well, the Romans used to eat with spaghetti with their hands. So that's why I'm eating spaghetti now with hands. Like that doesn't make any sense.
I'm not sure the Romans ate spaghetti.
They're from Italy, kid. Stick with me one time. Jesus Christ.
I guess Rome was a big place, so.
Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, but then it doesn't really make any sense why they need to suffer camping. You can go anywhere you want. Go on a beach. Go to like a deserted island do the exact same thing you're doing right now, but instead of a Mai Tai by the beach, sitting, getting the creative juices flowing, and start thinking about where those Horcruxes could be, rather than suffering in like Antarctica and North Scotland, where it's like 30 degrees and they're like, and there's people that are running into people. Oh, like,
yeah.
Where are you? You can go literally anywhere in the whole world. Just go to somewhere that's, one, enjoyable, and two, you'll never run into any other people. Like, it's just, it just seems pretty obvious. You know, the UK is a pretty relatively small place compared to the rest of the world, right? So just go anywhere else. I don't know.
It's funny you say this, because I was wondering as I was watching it and reading the book kind of, what the rules are with apparating, because do you just have to know the place? Like, you couldn't obviously have been there, right?
Yeah,
like, you can apparate to a place you haven't been to.
You have to be close enough.
So there is a proximity.
Yeah, because remember Voldemort is like traveling back really quickly from getting the wand and went to go find out about the Elder Wand. They call him back because they have Harry and Ron and Hermione held hostage before they escape. And eventually he gets there, but it takes him. He can't go and do it instantly. So there is some. So
he's
rules.
Like skipping spots, like kind of going 100 miles at a time.
Yeah,
or whatever the case is. Okay.
I mean, airplanes exist, so I mean,
yeah,
we can go anywhere we want.
Even then, you can. So, but I guess in that sense, they're limited to the United Kingdom, right? But you could still, you could still just go anywhere. Like, it doesn't.
You
it
can
doesn't
get
matter.
on a broom. Their brooms are airplanes. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Well, they actually pulled up at one part in the movie. They pulled up to this like giant rock place with all these holes in the ground. I was like, that's a terrible place to camp. Who thought about camping there? One, it's just going to be uncomfortable. Two, you could roll an ankle. Like, you step in one of those holes, you roll an ankle, and you could be screwed. But yeah, just in terms of general camping, I did some camping on the north rim of the Grand Canyon. That was pretty fucking epic. So I also did a lot of camping as a kid where I camped in the woods of New Hampshire and pooped in a hole and slept in a tent with my dad and my sister and got eaten by mosquitoes to the point that I think I had 12 mosquito bites on my testicles. I remember counting. So yeah, there are bad times, but I remember it now as being a great time.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. But I mean, also the stock time, just because the camping scenes in this movie were just, it was just too much of the first movie specifically. It was just too much. Yeah. They should have taken, like, cut that in half and then put it into the heist of the Ministry and the last scene where they're at the Malfoys. Like, seems like that would have been pretty obvious. But
yeah, well, I'm going to expand on that with my stock down. But I will say, last thought on camping in general, if you go camping, just get an air mattress. It makes it way better. It's just a better experience. Overall.
No, you have to be with nature and be on the ground. See, like, that's the whole. Then take it one step further. Why don't you just get a bed? Why don't you just?
Well, I'm actually like, honestly, I would love to in this lifetime get a camper and drive around to cool campgrounds and, you know, sleep on a bed in a comfortable place, but be in a cool spot.
That's like using a fork.
That is doing it right. That's doing it how you want to do it.
Exactly. I want to do it is be in my own house in my own bed.
Yeah, I don't have to be John. I don't have to be John Muir. I can just be Winnebago.
I don't know who John Muir is.
Just fucking read a book one time. All right. Oh, your point about how they use their time. My first talk down is talk down to movies that favor epic battle scenes, because we got none of that here. We got literally none of that. Like you said, the first one, there was so much camping. You know what there wasn't of? The Malfoy Manor thing, like you said, could have been drawn out. More importantly, I felt the way we jump this movie off with the Harry broom scene, all the Harrys flying in the brooms. Why aren't we making that a bigger scene? That scene was like 2 minutes long. We saw Harry there, Hedwig dies, and Harry's wand splits. In the book, there's so much content there between all these different fights that are happening in the sky. It feels like that's something that movie makers would want to show on the big screen. It's what they've tried to show in other films here, with them flying under on the Thames, flying under bridges around Big Ben, all that stuff. You do that, but it's an epic aerial battle around. It's the battle for Britain, but it's Harry Potter. I just don't know why they didn't make that scene longer. It just felt like there was also the Battle of Hogwarts. There was no battle. It was the 10,000 Death Eaters running to the school, and then most of the time, we pretty much only get a giant trying to decapitate Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and we get the Bellatrix Molly Weasley duel, which is like super quick anyways. And that's about it. We don't get a lot of just fighting. This was a great opportunity, I felt like, to see Lupin and Tonks fight to their death. 100%. We talked about that, how that was missing from the books, was these fights. And we know these characters. We want to see what happened to them. This was a great opportunity to see some actual wizarding duels within Hogwarts. But instead, it's this other stuff throughout the movie. And then they're focusing on this Nagini thing, which it's like, all right, we don't need all this. Let's see some wizards doing wizard stuff in Hogwarts, like what actually happened. Yeah. Because otherwise it's just we're focusing on our main characters, and then they come back and they're like, oh, some people died. It's like, wait, what? Show me. I know Percy's not really a character in the movie, so this would be hard. But show me Percy coming back and fighting after he sees Fred's dead body and taking down Death Eaters. I just wanted more. It felt like this final movie deserved more in terms of longer action sequences.
Yeah. What it is they just focus so much on Harry Potter. They thought the book is called Harry Potter, but really the reason we love it is because all the characters, the world building, like every single person you feel like by the end of the book.
Yeah.
It's like Dave Matthews Band. I always bring that up. Dave Matthews is incredible. He's the lead person of that, right? I'm not a huge Dave Matthews fan, but the band is incredible. The band is like amazing. They have an incredible like saxophone. They have drummer. They all do solos. So like everyone gets highlighted, even though it's called Dave Matthews Band. They took the wrong things, I think, or they focus on the wrong stuff. And I think the TV show is going to do, especially since they're going to have a lot more length, they're going to do a much better job of establishing these characters where you're bought in and wanting to like know what happens to Neville and what happens to Luna Lovegood and like all these different characters that they come on screen for a little bit in this one, and then you never see them again.
Oh, so the TV show is following the same characters? It's like the same
I think it's exactly the same. I think it's the exact... I mean, I haven't heard anything differently, but they're casting all the same characters, so it's not...
So it's like the Harry Potter series. It's like
it's Harry Potter TV show. Yeah. I mean, they've done that with Spider-Man. They've done it... I mean, they're not doing like anything that we haven't seen, or Batman and all the other things. I guess they did iterations of that.
The superheroes are a bit different because there's so much potential canon to write about. There's so many different storylines that you could do, where this is just one very direct novel. So
yeah. Well, my assumption is that they're going to be like, all right, in the movie we did this, let's now expand and actually show more, and then maybe add a little additional context, and maybe have the camera not on Harry every single scene. It's going to be on other people now. Yeah. Which I'm hoping, but...
Yeah. Interesting that you chose Dave Matthews. I was thinking maybe like
I don't know where I pulled that from.
Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, or...
the E Street Band's pretty good too, right?
Yeah, the E Street Band's great. What?
I don't like it. I've always said I don't like that Dave Matthews Band does that. Because I'm like, he is such a good band. It's kind of a dickhead move to be like... that. Oh yeah, I'm the whole band.
Like, George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic.
It'd be like Tom Brady and the Patriots. That's
well, it was.
It kind of was. Well, Belichick helped, but I mean the whole team won. You know what I'm saying? Anyways,
I don't have any other stock downs. So
my last one, and it was stock down being an athlete. This is my first stock I think I purchased, and I'm gonna finish it out, close it out, go full circle, make the last one I purchased or sell rather. The ending, I've already talked about, but after Voldemort dies, after the gladiator wind blowing, what's it called? Elysium?
Elysium, yeah.
He's eating spaghetti with his hands, like you're talking about, right, in Rome. Anyways, Harry and Ron and Hermione walk away from the castle, and again, this is just, I appreciate that they kept it consistent. This is the final scene. This is what happens. Harry walks out. He's like, I'm going to get rid of this wand because no one deserves to have it. He can't break the wand in half. I don't know what that was. It's a little twig. He's like, what the? I'm like, lift a weight one time for me, bud. Put the wand down. Do a couple curls one time for me. Maybe a couple trap workouts. I don't know what he needs, but he couldn't break the stick. Like they needed to cut that again. And then the final scene is them walking away with Hogwarts in the background. What are they looking at? Ellie actually brought this up. What are they looking at? The scene should be a backdrop of them looking at Hogwarts. It's like smoking. All their friends are down there. Their family down there. Them appreciating Hogwarts. That's the movie is. It's not them looking into the forest. I don't know where they're looking.
Yeah, looking out into the Forbidden Forest.
Like watch it again. It's so dumb. It doesn't make any sense what they're doing.
It's obviously a book diversion here because Harry just buries the Elder Wand with Dumbledore, which we've talked about how that's kind of dumb too. But it also feels like the Elder Wand has been around for hundreds of years. if it was easy to break, someone would have just like sat on it and been like, oh, there goes the elder wand. Like I broke it. So I'd understand why it would be harder for Harry to snap. But at the same time, it feels like it's something that shouldn't snap. And if that is something that you can snap, and I know you can snap wands, it just feels like there should be a little more. Like they're making, who's ever making the wands, I'm not going to blame Ollivander because I don't think he's the manufacturer, but who's ever making these wands is making them like iPhones or something. Like they're supposed to be broken, so then you're forced to buy a new one. Because if you think about it, the wand industry, not a very profitable industry. You're selling someone one wand that they're probably going to have for their entire life. So in order to maximize your profits, you want to make those wands easy to break so that people have to keep coming back for more. But at the same time, it seems like that shouldn't be the case because the wand chooses the wizard and like that wand is yours, and then breaking it seems like breaking a part of your soul. So yeah, but it just seems like the elder wand shouldn't be able to be broken.
Well, yeah, I also think they were standing over the waterfall there or waterfront or whatever that was on the bridge. And the cliche is for him to throw it in there. And they're like, no, let's break cliches and let's have him break it. But then I'm like, oh, I see why they always have him throw it. Because watching a person try to break something, especially when they're weaklings, it does not look good. So he should have thrown it into the water.
I mean, we've also learned from lots of sports movies in the past that watching someone throw something can really change how you view a character. Like if he can't throw a wand or he can't throw something, I immediately don't even believe that's Harry Potter. Like, Harry Potter's an athlete. He's the best seeker in 100 years. He has pure athleticism. I'm sure if you gave him a ball, he'd know how to throw it. So if instead he's kind of doing this, like, you know, shot put toss, I'd be concerned. Did you have a favorite scene in this one? These two, I guess.
You kind of were just mentioning that you didn't like it. I actually thought that the battle scene, the first one, the second one was terrible, when it's basically a mix of Lord of the Rings and Independence Day when they fire the rockets at the alien ship. I like that. Like when we zoom out and you're seeing the charging of the
Uruk-hai.
The giants are charging, all the different Death Eaters are charging, and then we have like the guards at Hogwarts standing out there. I was like, this is sick. And then to your point, I was like, now we zoom in on the battle and we see these one-on-one matchups like that we've been waiting for all. I also think that, again, we could have like matched up people that we wanted to see. Like, I think Neville should have been actually the one to kill Bellatrix. Like, but
that's not in the book.
I did get that, but like, I would have been fine if you changed that and then have, I don't know, just match people up a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I would have been fine if you changed that.
Also, like the Malfoys getting away scot-free. I wanted my boy Ron's dad to fucking go up against Lucius and just and get that, like, you know, that's another battle I want to see.
Just big boy him, like actually like put him in a chokehold and rip his head off.
Yeah.
I was hoping for the Malfoys that it was kind of a Jurassic Park type thing where they think they're getting away scot-free, but there's actually a Dementor that's just like sitting there in the brush, like that winged neck dinosaur, and instead just like jumps on them and sucks all their souls out. Because like they're obviously getting caught. Like at least Lucius is going to Azkaban. I mean, they're probably all going to Azkaban. Malfoy's probably going to get off early because Harry's going to go in and testify on his behalf. You know, a little character witness situation. But yeah, that's what I'm saying is they had that big scene. Like, okay, this is cool when they say all the, stand up for Hogwarts and all the gargoyles or whatever come to life. It's like, this is going to be awesome. And then we flash back to Harry running around
I mean, that one, like, couple of clips were awesome. But yeah, I wish they could did a little bit more.
Yeah. Dig in deeper. Go deeper.
Yeah.
My favorite scene was the way they told the Peveril brothers story. I thought the animation for that was phenomenal. I love when they work animation into live action movies. I feel like they usually do it pretty well. And this I thought was super good. Whoever they chose to do the animation, big fan. The story was told wonderfully. Loved the voiceover. I loved every bit of it. It got me into the fairy tale aspect of it. And I think that like whatever Disney studio or whatever, or Universal, I don't know, whichever one owns the Harry Potter, Warner Brothers, right? Whatever. Whoever owns it at the park, the Harry Potter park, they have like these characters like Death and whatever in puppet form, like the big human puppets, like how people dress up as dinosaurs and stuff. And it seems pretty cool. Like people can go and watch that play or whatever the case is. So yeah, I thought that animation was awesome and really brought that story to life. Because otherwise it's just them sitting there telling a story.
I'm just so used to the 6 prior movies where they're like cutting everything they can. And I was like, they actually just told the whole story, which was like actually refreshing. They didn't really, which also too, the breaking the movies up into 2 was definitely great. It did feel like you're seeing a full-fledged movie. Obviously,
you needed it. You really needed it. I mean, it would be in my love, and, you know, I guess we'll just burn that. But it's okay to do this stuff, cutting all this stuff with the other books, because whatever. But we have to end this series. We have to end these 8 movies that we're going to watch. I know it's probably partially a money grab, but at the same time, it needed time to breathe. And I appreciate that they did that. I know we didn't like all the hopping around and camping, but we spent time there. You know, we spent time with them, and we needed that time. So I'm really glad they broke it up into 2 movies.
For sure.
It would have been like Lawrence of Arabia. It would have been like 3 hours and 48 minutes if you didn't. You know, I don't know how you could tell this story with all the beats you needed to hit without it. Do you have a favorite character in this film or these films?
And this one, and I think it's more just because I needed to know more backstory, especially since I don't think the book really covers it either. But Lucius Malfoy, I don't know what movie he was in, but he was unbelievable actor. He was like, I thought he just went through the most horrific torturing of all time. Like his eyes are all droopy, especially because you know the character that he is, and like the blonde, perfectly flowing hair, and the arrogance, and the cockiness, and the swagger he has. And then to this, like that's the biggest change I've ever seen in a character. It's incredible. I don't know what happened to him. I need more on him, but he's been broken. He's a broken person.
Yeah, whoever did the makeup and whatnot for him was perfectly done. It's
like what's in Game of Thrones when the guy gets like tortured and cut off? What's it?
Theon Greyjoy?
Yeah, Theon Greyjoy. That's what happened to him. I don't know how.
Yeah. Jason Isaacs, who plays him, obviously good in The Patriot, and I'm going to now go on the Patriot rant because Keith cut it from a previous episode. No, I won't do that to you, Keith. But yeah, he's a phenomenal actor. I love that he got some time in this one because the downfall of Lucius Malfoy and talking about reaping what you sow, this was, you know, what Lucius Malfoy, he's reaping what he sowed right here in terms of he wanted Voldemort to come back. Okay, here you go. You happy now? Best supporting actor for sure. Should have got a nod. I think my character, it has to be Neville. He didn't get enough, in my opinion. I think the one thing they were missing was Harry running into Neville as he's going to the forest and telling Neville about the snake as opposed to Ron and Hermione. He tells Neville that Neville's got to kill the snake, and you know, obviously we see Neville do that. It's unfortunate how they changed that at the end, but Neville still got the snake, and they give Neville a couple other action pieces, including like blowing up the bridge with Seamus and whatnot, which I enjoyed. And it just shows how far Neville's come. You know, it just shows how far Neville's come from him being brave enough to stand up to them in the Sorcerer's Stone, but also being a total coward, Trevor, to now. And him being a total badass and a babe, I may say.
Yeah, I was going to say, way to commit to the character. That's going full, becoming tall all of a sudden and good looking. That's really how you commit to a character. Yeah. I appreciate that. They're
like, okay, Neville, you go through this big emotional change throughout the series. He's like, can I go through a physical change too? They're like, well, we can't make that happen. He's like, oh, I got it.
He's like, oh, I've been stunting my growth. I've been smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee every day and just to get into character. I want me to stop, cut back on that? Yeah, all right, we're good.
He's like, I'll go cold turkey and I'll just become hot Neville.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Let's get in some love-hate, though, because I want to get here. Keith, what do you have for love?
Love, the Hedwig change. Real big fan of that. We talked about it in the book. Hedwig is in the book, is in the cage. I didn't like that. I was like, he should die on his sword, and that's what he does. In this one, also the reason, which like the whole Expelliarmus being Harry's signature spell.
I love how you say that. Yeah.
What is it?
Expelliarmus?
Whatever. What was I saying? Oh, well, Hedwig. Yeah. So he goes out in his sword. He dies flying and protecting Harry, and the reason that they know it's the real Harry is because only Hedwig would come protect the real Harry.
Wait, is Hedwig a boy bird or a girl bird?
Yeah. What did I say?
Okay, yeah. You said he. I was. Yeah. That's fine. Who knows? How would you know? It seems like you have to be what's a bird person? Ornithologist? I don't know. My love's Aberforth. He gives Harry the lie to me, don't lie to yourself line, which is awesome. It's one of my favorite lines. I use it all the time. It works every time. And I just can't believe that it was in a movie, honestly.
I use the opposite of that, but all right. I say, lie to yourself, don't lie to me.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Okay. Be honest with me. You can lie to yourself. Like, you can lie to yourself, but don't be honest with me. That makes more sense. What are you talking about? If you were like wearing trendy jeans, Dylan, you really think those jeans are good? And you'd be like, no, they're awful. But then to yourself, you're like, these are the best. It makes more sense.
No, it's the other way.
No, that's the only reason you're wearing them, because you think they're good, but you know when you're because you're lying to yourself. But when you tell me, you're telling the truth.
Okay.
Good point, Keith. Good point.
Whatever. What else do you have for love?
I thought there was a lot of hat tips. So we talked about how they didn't really establish a lot of the characters in the books. I thought there was a lot of hat tips that went in this one, where like they would just like quickly reference something that only book readers would know, which I thought was like kind of a special like.
Oh, really? Do you have an example?
No. I thought there was just a ton of.
Like names mentioned or stuff like that.
Yeah, like there was references to names. Obscure. There was things that you would only know if you had read the book, like the Tonks and Lupin stuff, like I mentioned. A bunch of the side characters just had stuff added in that you wouldn't know otherwise.
Okay. I loved Snape deflects when they're like when Harry steps out of the crowd, which is so stupid and so cheesy. And they're like, if anyone's harboring Harry Potter, like, let us know. And then Harry just steps out of the crowd. Like a bunch of people wouldn't be like, Harry's right here. Harry, what are you doing here? Like there wouldn't be a ruckus beforehand. It'd be a bunch of silent people and Harry just steps out. Anywho, McGonagall steps up to fight Snape and she sends a curse at him. He deflects her spell to take down both Carrows. So the Carrows are behind him. So he deflects her spell, but he's actually using it to take down the Carrows before he escapes. So it was awesome because as someone that knew already that Snape's a good guy, it's like, oh, Snape, you're not only a good guy, but you're a phenomenal wizard. I appreciate you. And yeah, I just thought it was a cool little thing that they threw in there as opposed to Harry using a unforgivable curse on them. What about hates then?
Oh, I thought the Snape payoff was going to be better because I think I've seen the Always thing, like a clip of that, and I was like, oh, that does hit home hard. But when they're showing all the flashbacks, he's like talking without any emotion or anything like that. It felt like Hans Gruber with the American accent pretending to be a guy that's, in pain.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. It didn't feel like he really was. Like when he's crying and holding her dead body, that hit.
Yeah. Outside of that.
And the Always thing hit, but all the other parts didn't seem to ring true to me. I don't know.
On this reread and rewatch, I'm not sure the Always hits with me. It's so he casts his Patronus, and it's a doe, which is Lily's. And so Dumbledore's asking him, oh, you still love her? And he's like, always. It's like, well, duh. Snape's an incel. He doesn't go outside, he's not going to find new love.
Yeah.
Why is this surprising to you that his Patronus is a doe? Of course it is. That's why he's here. What are we talking about?
There's probably could have been a better way to do it. I don't know how, but there definitely could have been a better way. Yeah, I agree.
But I remember this being like, oh, goosebumps when I first read it. And now maybe I'm just like have gotten curmudgeon-y and my heart is hard or something, but it doesn't do it for me the same as it used to. My hate, and this is really the only big one for me, considering they had two movies, was there's no Dumbledore family history really. It's touched upon Bathilda Bagshot, and then Harry chats with at Bill and Fleur's wedding, which by the way, Harry's not in disguise. Harry's undesirable number one. Him being at a wedding with a bunch of people that are just kind of people. It's like,
don't worry.
Wouldn't do that. That's Harry Potter. The ministry's looking for you. What? What are we talking about here? But yeah, he So the whole point of the book, or a big part of the book, is Harry feeling like Dumbledore didn't come clean to him about, or he didn't know Dumbledore. Just like he didn't know Dumbledore as a person like he thought he did. He thought he and Dumbledore were close. Maybe they weren't close at all. Is Dumbledore leading him down the right path? Is he second guessing himself because of it? And none of that's really in the movies, which it felt like was a big part of the books. We get a tiny bit about Dumbledore. I don't think Grindelwald is really talked about. I don't think anything about Dumbledore's sister is discussed besides them pointing out the painting saying, oh, that was your sister. Not what happened, not that whole story. And it seemed like the Harry-Dumbledore relationship was a big part of the book, and it's just no part of these movies, which is unfortunate to me.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to come across in the whole camping scene where he's like, he didn't
Were
tell
they
me
dancing?
anything.
Oh.
He didn't tell me anything. Yeah. So I agree, though. It wasn't explicit, and yeah, that turmoil wasn't necessarily there that you would think there should be.
Yeah, and I get it. He says, oh, he didn't tell me anything, whatever, this, that, the other thing. But that's it. We want it to be continuously repeated, and him being like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Mm-hmm. I want him second guessing himself until his mind is set on going into the forest to die to Voldemort's hand.
Yeah, no, I agree.
What else you hate?
The Dobby after he dies scene. I felt like in film school they're like show don't tell. I don't know what that means, and now I know what it means after seeing this scene. He's like, I'm gonna bury him without using my wand, and he carried him away. What? All you had to do in that scene is him crying over the body, stoically picks it up, doesn't say one word, picks up a shovel and just starts digging and digging, and everyone's watching him. They're like, hey, do you want to use your wand? He's like, no, I need to do this. And then his hands are bleeding at the end, and he's placing the body gently. That's a heart-wrenching scene. Him being like, I need to bury this person, and I'm not using a wand to do it to show that I mean it. It's like, what?
Yeah. I want to bury him, and I'm not going to use my wand. It's like, okay, cool. What do you want? Extra points?
Yeah.
When he was like a fourth year, he's like sitting there in his 4-poster bed before he's going to sleep at night. He's like, when Dobby dies, I'll bury him without a wand. Yeah. Like, I'm going to do that.
Out of respect, yeah.
Dobby's going to die before me, so I don't respect him. I like him. I'm going to bury him like a muggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. We need a silhouette with him using that shovel on some sand as the sun's coming down or whatever the case is. I like the bloody hands thing,
And the last cut is just him, like the last shovel, and then you see the here lies a free elf. That hits. Then you get chills thinking of that.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
God, you should do this movie.
Do they need help with the TV show?
TV show, yeah. They need rebury.
I'm more
Dobby.
of a TV writer, anyways. So
yeah, I know you got some screenplays or some. What do they call them when you some spec scripts? Have I asked you this before? Have you ever read the spec strip out there for the Seinfeld 9/11 episode?
Yeah, I read a blog on it, buddybookclub.com.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I love that. I love it. It's
good.
So funny. Holy smokes. We'd go on ski trips. Ski trips kind of like camping, but you stay in a house. We'd go on ski trips, and I'd always pull it up if there's like 4 people in the car. And for the last hour, you're like excited to get there. I would be like, hey, everyone pull it up on your phones who's not driving, obviously, and let's do a read through of the script. Like, which character do you want to be? And we do that. We did that a couple times. It was super fun.
Also, a ski trip is like camping is the most wild thing you've ever said. It's the exact opposite of camping. It's like what I would want to do. I don't even like skiing, and I would do that, a ski trip.
I was just trying to bring the conversation full circle.
That doesn't make anything. You're arguing for my argument. Because skiing, you do something very expensive, but you're outside, you're enjoying it. It's like a sport. You're struggling, and then you get done, and you hit the après-ski, you get hot chocolate, you get by a fire inside, you get a hot tub going, you get drinking games going, you get board games going, does that sound 100 times better than being like, we just got done hiking, I'm sweating right now, but now it's 30 degrees, so I'm absolutely freezing. Oh, now great, I'm going to go sit in this fucking tent on the ground. Well, I brought a blow-up mattress. Yeah, that's the worst thing ever. What are you talking about? You just made my argument for me.
Oh, well, you made me want to go skiing. Do you have any lingering questions?
No, but I did want to say that I had an epiphany. We should change the lingering questions category to what does it all mean, Basil? That's the name of it. Anyways.
We'll fix that in post. So what does it all mean, Basil?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a few. Hermione's family is not going to think it's weird that they have blank picture frames in their house, because in the movie, she obliviates them, they stay at their house, and then she leaves. In the books, she sends them to like Australia, so they don't even know that they have a daughter. But now they're just the next day walking around their house, and there's all these picture frames that have, like, they're empty. They're basically what you would buy at Target. There's just like a car in the background, and they're just wondering, why do we have all these picture frames? Or there's like the mom on one side, the dad on the other, and just this blank space in between them, and they're not confused by that?
Well, here's the thing, D-Man. When you don't have kids like myself, you put pictures up of just landscapes. If you look around my room right now, there's just paintings of landscapes, flowers. I got a tiger up on the wall. So it's not weird just to have a back
room? You just have a dorm room style?
Well, first of all, Mrs. McGonagall painted 3 of these. So,
okay.
yeah. And
Send me a Mrs. McGonagall painting.
I'll send you one.
Yeah, let me get a commission. A beachside commission for my Cape Cod house would be wonderful.
No, I don't think it's weird at all. To answer your question.
All right, fine. I talked about Harry, no disguise for the wedding. That is weird. Draco Malfoy, along with Neville, they took the hot pills in this one. I think Draco has aged the best besides Neville. He kind of looks like hot Squidward now, if you know the SpongeBob stuff. You probably have this SpongeBob comforter on your bed, so you just look at it and you'll see hot Squidward on it.
Who is it that you said aged like that?
Draco Malfoy.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
The escape from the room of requirements was giving off big Aladdin vibes, like when they escape from the tunnel where they get the lamp, where the big tiger head is. You've seen Aladdin, the cartoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was pretty much exactly that scene, so they kind of just stole it from there, but I'm okay with it. And Voldy has Nagini kill Snape, so wouldn't that make her the Master of the Elder Wand based on his logic?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
He was like, you killed Dumbledore, so you're now the Master of the Elder Wand.
Well, all you had to do is de-wand the person, right? So
he didn't do anything. He just said, like, Nagini, go kill him.
I thought he sent a spell at him that, like, paralyzed them or something.
But he thinks it's if you kill them. That's the whole difference between him and Harry. Harry realizes that it's not about that. It was like, all right, go kill Snape. He's like, okay, so now Nagini is the Master of the Elder Wand. And then my last lingering question, and we don't really have to like talk about this, but it's just really a thought thing, is I don't get, we were talking about the logic earlier, the logic that you sit back and you think, does that make any sense? I don't get how Harry survived Voldemort's initial killing curse. I didn't understand it. And even with the books, I still don't understand it. Voldemort kills him, he sacrifices himself, and he goes into his thing, and then Dumbledore's like, he's like, am I dead? Dumbledore's like, maybe you are, maybe you're not.
Yeah, I didn't understand it most of it either. I mean, I assume that it didn't kill him, it killed the soul, right, or something?
Yeah, but why didn't it kill him too?
Basically, there's 2 people in him, and he killed only one of the people, so...
Yeah. So, Harry says in the book, he's like, then I'm dead, and Dumbledore says, that is a question, isn't it? On the whole, dear boy, I think not. Harry says, not? Dumbledore says, not. Harry says, but I should have died. I didn't defend myself. I meant to let him kill me. And Dumbledore says, and that will, I think, have made all the difference.
I guess because he has the protection blood still in him?
There's also a bunch of that, too. But also Voldemort has the protection blood, because Dumbledore even says Voldemort has some of the protection blood. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So that whole thing, I'm still not 100%, even though I've read these books like 20 times. I'm not exactly sure on how the logic of that works. Oh, Keith, we did it. 7 books, 8 movies. We finished Harry Potter.
We did it.
Fucking A. We said way back when, we were like, when we get 100 episodes, we'll do Harry Potter. Never thinking we'd get here. And look at us now. 200 will be War and Peace.
We do need to make another milestone on there, because we've done the 2 milestones we said we'd do. We did 69. We did, what's it called?
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey. We didn't finish the book, unfortunately. Well, fortunately.
No, fortunately. That book was terrible.
And then for episode 114, we said we'd make sure we followed up Harry Potter with the worst book ever written, probably. So we're doing that.
I was going to say, what a lead-in. For 50 Shades being terrible, what do we got next?
Mexican Gothic is next. It was a TikTok book recommendation. We may not ever take a TikTok book recommendation ever, so not to bury the lead, but
no, that's the opposite of burying the lead. That's putting it right on the headline.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so next time around we'll be doing Mexican Gothic. Probably kind of assuming we both finished it. And then what's the other one, just in case if people are listening and want to check in, that we're reading now?
Before the Fall by Noah Hawley.
Yeah, Before the Fall. So far, I'm enjoying it. It's a book. Much different than Mexican Gothic. But either way, Keith, this has been quite the journey. We did it. Harry did it. Voldemort did not do it, but we made it through. So yeah, I'm glad we did it. We did it together. That's important to me. Just like a Harry and Ron and Hermione, we did it together.
No, it was quite the journey, and we survived all seven books. So appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. I'll split my soul for you. All right, I'll catch you for Mexican Gothic.
Indeed.
All right.
Bye now.